Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswata Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the keyboard. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, welcome back to our fourth day on the seminar on the life of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. We've already discussed about Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and this evening we will be speaking about Srila Jiva Goswami. Because that leaves the last 2 days for Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana. Now, interestingly, the life of Srila Jiva Goswami is intertwined with the life of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. So it's impossible to glorify and speak about Srila Jiva Goswami without touching Srila Rupa or Sri Sanatana. So therefore, actually, today, tomorrow and day after, you will hear Rupa, Sanatana and Jiva. Because even when we discuss about Jiva Goswami, we got to speak about Rupa and Sanatana. The Bhakti Ratnakar of Narahari Chakravarti very wonderfully describes about Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami's exact date of birth is uncertain, and there's a dispute among the academic world as far as that is concerned. But they all agree to the Bhakti Ratnakara that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Ramakeli, that was in 1514, Srila Jiva Goswami was on the lap of his mother. So he was less than 3 years old at that time. So therefore, logically speaking, it would have been 1511, 1512, and so on and so forth. Srila Jiva Goswami lived a long life and is undoubtedly one of the strongest philosophical, dependable pillars of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. The responsibility that Srila Jiva Goswami held on his shoulders will be appreciated much more as we discuss this narration, especially after the departure of Srila Rupa and Sanatana. Srila Jiva Goswami is also described in the Bhakti Ratnakar in a very beautiful way. Narahari Chakravarti says, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Ramakeli to mysteriously bless and empower Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana, which we will discuss tomorrow and day after, I wouldn't get into that narration now. At that time, Srila Jiva Goswami, who is the son of Anupam, or Sri Vallabha, who is the third brother of Rupa and Sanatana. So there are three brothers, and Rupa and Sanatana didn't have children, but Sri Vallabha, their brother, had the only son as Sri Jiva Goswami. So actually speaking, Srila Jiva Goswami was the direct and only sole heir to the inheritance of Rupa and Sanatana. They were almost like multi-billionaires looking, it's described in the Bhakti Ratnakar that Rupa and Sanatana would look like Indras in their court. They would speak innumerable languages, and they were empowered in so many ways, which we will discuss tomorrow. So Jiva Goswami, at that time when Mahaprabhu came to Ramakeli, it's described he was on his mother's lap, but as soon as he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he jumped up. So his mother was kind of amazed by Jiva Goswami's spontaneous attraction to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, citing that this is the first direct meeting between the Lord and this pure devotee. Jiva Goswami goes behind a tree and hides and tries to peep to see what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling his father and his uncles. And he's trying to hear the conversation that Rupa Goswami is falling at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is delivering them and telling them, don't worry, I will soon empower you and you will be part of my army, the fight against Maya. And Jiva Goswami is listening to all this and having smiles on his face. And at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu points to Jiva, and he tells Rupa and Sanatan, the work that you will leave unfinished, this Jiva will continue in the future. So this is the first meeting, and Jiva is about 3 years old, 2-3 years old. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had predicted and empowered Jiva Goswami at that time. Jiva Goswami could have inherited his parents' opulence, the position, lot of wealth, lot of following as far as position is concerned. But Jiva Goswami inherited their bodily beauty. He inherited their knowledge, their excellent scholarship. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami are considered to be like the gods of learning, so to speak, the demigods of learning. And their understanding of the Vedic literature was unparalleled, and Jiva Goswami had the same traits. Very skilled, very profound learning. So much so that when his teachers would teach him grammar, when he was hardly 7 years old, when the teacher would make a mistake, Jiva Goswami would say, according to the rules of grammar, this should be like this. So it was surprisingly very uncommon, very unique, right from birth. So it's not that Jiva Goswami became a scholar. Krishna gave him the necessary skill set to perform the service. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. When we are sincere in our endeavor and intent, Krishna gives us whatever we need. He puts the necessary arrows in our quiver, necessary to fight this battle and to fulfill the mission. And at the same time, if we have something, Krishna will protect it, if it's favorable. So Jiva Goswami also, as a child, it's described when his mother would tell him stories from the Puranas, he would pause and he would tell his mother, but why did this happen like this? According to philosophical conclusion, this should have become like this. So Jiva Goswami, when he would hear Puranic stories which his mother would tell him to put him to sleep, Jiva Goswami would wake up from sleep and ask questions. So the stories didn't serve the purpose, actually. And the mother would say, I wish I never told you that story. Like one classic example is when Jiva Goswami's mother would tell Jiva Goswami about Krishna in the prison house of Mathura being transferred, and then Krishna becoming Devaki Nandan Krishna becoming Yashomati Nandan Krishna. So Jiva Goswami would ask, but according to philosophical conclusions, there were two Krishnas who appeared. And his mother had no clue. And that Jiva Goswami explains in the Gopal Champu later on in his life. Another fascinating thing was when his mother would tell him stories like Krishna's appearance. Krishna appeared and mother would describe Nandotsav, that Krishna was on the cradle and how the Vedic Brahmanas were chanting mantras and there was loud Sankirtan going on, and at the same time everyone was meditating and the priests were there and the drums were being played and everyone was blessing and gifts for Krishna and so on and so forth. Very beautiful scene was being described. Jiva Goswami would ask this question, which yuga did Krishna appear in? His mother would say, no, that was Dwapar Yuga. Krishna appeared in Dwapar Yuga. Jiva Goswami would say, no, it was Satya Yuga. And the mother would think, what is this child up to? He's twisting and turning. He's putting history back on track. Mother would say, no, Krishna is Dwapar Yuga. Ramchandra is Treta Yuga. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So, Treta Yuga Ramachandra. And Krishna in Dwapar Yuga. And Narasimha in Satya Yuga. And Jiva Goswami would say, no. Krishna was in Satya Yuga. Mother would say, how? Jiva Goswami would say, what is the Yuga Dharma of Satya Yuga? contemplative meditation. When Krishna appeared and he was in the cradle, everyone was looking at Krishna. Everyone in that assembly had one pointed contemplative meditation in that cradle. So why would they perform that Yuga Dharma if it wasn't that Yuga? The mother would say, yes, I agree, it would have been Satya Yuga. Jiva Goswami would say, no, actually it was Treta Yuga. Mother would say, but why are you saying that? Jiva Goswami would say, what is the Yuga Dharma for Treta Yuga? And the mother would say, just performing yajnas. And Jiva Goswami would say, for the protection of Krishna, there were 1008 yajna kunds for Nandotsav. You would say, why would they perform that if it wasn't Treta Yuga? It was Treta Yuga, therefore they were performing that, and they were performing the Yuga Dharma. So mother would say, yes, I agree, it would have been Treta Yuga. Jiva Goswami would say, but I think it was Dwapar Yuga. Mother would say, why are you saying it's Dwapar Yuga? Jiva Goswami, all this as a child. So if you have a very inquisitive child, please pray that he turns out to be a follower of Jiva Goswami. And it was Dwapar Yuga. Why would you say Dwapar Yuga? Mother, Jiva Goswami would say, what is the Yuga Dharma of Dwapar Yuga? Mother would say, deity worship. And Jiva Goswami would say, everyone was offering, asana, vasana, bhushana, paduka, chhatra, and all of these articles. They were performing all the 64 upacharas to the Krishna who's in the cradle. So they were performing deity worship. They were giving him foodstuffs, they were fanning him, they were giving him clothes, they were giving him ornaments, they were all circumambulating, they were bathing him. There was Abhishek. So why would they do that if it wasn't the Yuga Dharma? And the Yuga Dharma is for Dwapar Yuga, so it was Dwapar Yuga. So when mother agreed it was Dwapar Yuga, Jiva Goswami said, actually it was Kali Yuga. And the mother would say, why do you say it was Kali Yuga? Jiva Goswami would say, the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga is chanting Harinam. And when Krishna was appearing and he was in the cradle, everyone was saying, Nanda ke Lala ki Jai. So everyone is chanting the names of the son of Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Dulal, Yashoda Dulal. They're chanting the names of Nanda Nandan, Yashoda Nandan. So they're chanting the names. And that is the Yuga Dharma for Kali. So why would they do that if it wasn't the age in which they're living? And they're performing the Yuga Dharma to please Krishna. So when his mother agreed it was Kali Yuga, Jiva Goswami said, oh mother, I have to make a very honest confession. Actually 4 yugas manifested in person when Krishna appeared. When Krishna appeared, in the 4 directions, the 4 yugas were standing with folded palms to welcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore all 4 Yuga Dharmas were also accompanying them, and this is the mystery behind it. So it was kind of difficult to know who was telling the story to whom. So his mother was telling him Leela Katha, and Jiva Goswami was explaining the tattva behind it. Samsara sindhum ati dustara mutti tirsho nanyat plava bhagavata purushottamasya Leela Katha rasani sevanamantarena pumsam bhavet vivida dukkhadavarvitasya. The 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describes, wherever there is tattva, there may or may not be Leela. But wherever Krishna performs his Leela, all the tattvas are included in it. So whenever Leela Katha is spoken, to break it down to tattva and understand is justified. So one may say, but what about Bhagavad Gita? It is only tattva? No, actually it is Leela Katha. It is the Leela of 2 friends talking, where one is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and his dear friend Arjuna. And what they spoke is the tattva. So it's actually a Leela, the samvad between 2 friends. And therefore Jiva Goswami says it's worth knowing. It's not just tattva, it is Leela tattva. Leela Katha with tattva rasa in it. So this was his childhood. Very, very unique. He was, although being in Manjari Swarup, it is described according to Gaur Ganadesh Tipika that Jiva Goswami is Vilasa Manjari, one of the dearest maidservants of Srimati Radharani. Just like Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari in his original form, or let's say her original form, Jiva Goswami is Vilasa Manjari, one of the top 8 Manjaris, maidservants of Srimati Radharani. So they come down to assist Radharani, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. Although being in Manjari Swarup, it's interesting to note The Jiva Goswami's Ishtadeva as a child was Krishna Balaram. It's a very important point. So there is always a controversy about Srila Prabhupada's constitutional form. Different organizations and different institutional scholars talk about Prabhupada being a follower of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as a maidservant of Radharani, or because establishing Krishna Balaram Mandir is a Sakha. But this point is very interesting to note. The Jiva Goswami, although being a maidservant of Radharani, had Krishna Balaram as Ishtadev. And the pastimes as a child are very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. His parents had got him Krishna Balaram deities. Unfortunately, it's described his father Sri Anupam left very soon. His mother would take care of Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami would spend a lot of time with his Krishna Balaram deities. His mother would call him for prasad, and he would be busy circumambulating his deities. He would dance for his deities. He would sing for his deities. He would bathe his deities. He would give new clothes to his deities. He would make garlands for his deities and offer it to Krishna and Balaram. All of this as a child, 5 years old, 6 years old. And he would embrace Krishna and Balaram tightly. He would cook for them. He would give fruits, cut fruits and give. So sometimes I go to different places and different homes, and I see children there so excited to have their own deities. And some of them have their own dolls. Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra dolls and things like that. And it's very fascinating. It's very bona fide, because even our acharyas as children were very attached to their deities. So I went to one place, and the girl is only about 6 years old. And she has many small toys like Krishna, Balaram, Radharani, and Jagannath, Baladev, all of these toys. And there she's in. So I was just curious to know what she's doing. She was all by herself in a room with these toys. And I was hiding behind the curtain and seeing what she's doing. And she was introducing different deities to themselves, to each other. And she gets like Radharani like this, and she gets like Baladev, shake hands, and it was kind of fascinating. And I heard something which was, I couldn't stop laughing. I laughed, and then she realized that I was hiding and seeing. She was saying, this is Radharani. And you know what? She's very strong. She can stand for a long time. And I was thinking, why would she say that? And her next sentence was, Krishna, after some time, he gets a leg pain. And therefore, always you see, he stands a little crooked. But Radharani always stands straight. She's very strong. She's stronger than Krishna. I was thinking, wow, this child is speaking the truth. She's stronger than Krishna. And I couldn't stop laughing. I laughed and I said, what are you doing? She said, nothing, I'm just introducing. Hi. And it's very beautiful to see. And I'm very positive that these impressions are will fructify with time. And instead of just giving an iPhone in front of the child just so that they eat, that impression is very tamasic and rajasic. But these toys and small dolls with Radha Krishna and Krishna Balaram, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, very fruitful. So Jiva Goswami had Krishna Balaram deities, and he would do parikrama, and he would get his friends and do parikrama, and he would offer puja. Very, very beautiful. And sometimes it's described, when it would get very cold, he would remove his chadar and offer it to Krishna Balaram. It's very beautiful. Like Srila Prabhupada had a very beautiful, loving God brother. And when he was young, he would worship Radha Gopinath deities. He was about 5 or 6 years old, and he would have Radha Gopinath deities of his own. And one day suddenly, he, in the middle of winter time, he would, in the middle of summertime, he started feeling very cold. It was unusual at night. And he was thinking, what happened? And then parents said, no, actually the temperature has dropped, so that's the reason, don't worry. He said, no, this is really unusual. And in no time, he started shivering, and his body started trembling, and they took him to a doctor, and nothing worked, medicines, nothing worked. Then in the dream, his deities, Radha Gopinath, came and said, the temperature dropped and you forgot to offer us a shawl. So he ran, his dream broke, and he ran and he offered a shawl to his deities. As soon as he offered the shawl to the deities, his temperature came down. And he stopped shivering. And Prabhupada had a Bengali conversation, this instance, with his god brother. And that was later translated into English. So anyway, having personal deities and personal interaction with one's deities is very, very beautiful, right from childhood. Jiva Goswami would take his Krishna Balaram deities and embrace them to the chest and sleep. And his mother would say, let them go, you sleep. And he would say, no, Krishna on one side, Balaram on another side, and sometimes to the chest. He would read Srimad Bhagavatam to them. And the stories his mother would tell him, he would go and tell the Puranic stories to Krishna and Balaram, as if they didn't know these stories. So much love. So much love. One day he couldn't find his Krishna Balaram deities. His mother had hid them on purpose to see what he would do. And he started crying and yelling, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. And mother had to give the deities back to him. And then he embraced them. Again he would start crying. So that night Krishna Balaram appeared in his dream and said, since you're so attached to us, we want to tell you a secret. We want to show you a form that will charm your heart. The form that we are appearing in Kali. It's a very beautiful form. And we are empowering Rupa and Sanatan. And we will empower you. And these forms are Gauranga and Nityananda. So Jiva Goswami as a child had seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and developed ecstatic symptoms. But the link that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Nityananda is Balaram was perfectly revealed and established in the dream. Krishna and Balaram were standing and then they swapped over to Gauranga and Nityananda. And in the dream, Jiva Goswami bowed down to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and Gauranga Mahaprabhu said, I embrace you and I offer you to Nitai. He offered him to Nitai. Nitai picked him up and embraced him, and I said, I bless you that Gaur Prem may rise in your heart. And the dream broke. And Jiva Goswami now, who was always shouting Krishna and Balaram was now, he started shouting Gauranga and Nityananda, Gauranga and Nityananda. His mother had no clue what's happening. And he would pray, may I see the forms of Gauranga and Nityananda. In his heart, just by seeing that form, so much of renunciation set in. He would tell his mother, oh mother, when can I give up everything in this world and run to Navadvip and be with Gauranga and Nityananda? His mother would say, very soon, child, very soon. Interestingly, his mother left this world. And that was the last straw of attachment that Jiva Goswami had. He didn't have anyone in this world except his uncles now, because his father had left and mother had left. So immediately he ran. He could have gone to Vrindavan. He could have gone to Vrindavan directly, but he preferred to go to Navadvip, to take shelter of Gauranga and Nityananda first, and then to Krishna Balaram. So he went to Navadvip, and the journey is very beautifully described in Bhakti Ratnakar, how he went. Reached Navadvip, and to his supreme transcendental surprise, he heard Nityananda Prabhu had come to Navadvip from Kardaha, and he was living in the house of Srivas Pandit. So Jiva Goswami in excitement ran to the house of Srivas Pandit, knocked the door. Srivas Pandit opened the door, and there was Nityananda Prabhu standing. The same form that he saw in his dream. Very beautiful complexion. Very soothing. Very comforting amidst the dark sky of Kali and the scorching sun of Kali. Nityananda Prabhu's appearance is very beautifully described, how his eyes were like the opening and closing of blossoming lotus flowers. How Nityananda Prabhu looked so beautiful and so attractive. He was the embodiment of Gaur Prem. Jiva Goswami cried, Nitai, 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 and fell at the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu picked him up and embraced him the same way like in the dream and said, I bless you, may Gaur Prem rise in your heart. And Jiva Goswami said, this is exactly what you told me in my dream. And Jiva Goswami said, yes, now I will take you somewhere where the abode of all Gaur Prem originates. That is Shachi Mata. So holding the hand of young Jiva Goswami, Nityananda Prabhu, of course, offered him to Srivas Pandit. Srivas Pandit profusely blessed Jiva Goswami and then took him to Ishan, who was the personal assistant and servant of Shachi Mata. Ishan blessed, then took him to Shachi Mata. Nityananda Prabhu said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared in the most merciful incarnation as Gauranga, and Gauranga has appeared from the womb of Shachi Mata. So bow down to Shachi Mata. And he bowed down to Shachi Mata. Shachi Mata picked him up, embraced him, and placed her hand on the head of Jiva and said, I totally empower you in all motherly affection. may you be used as an instrument to spread the Nam Sankirtan movement in the way that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants you to. So just imagine, Jiva Goswami is less than 10 years old. He's attached to Krishna Balaram. He sees Gaur Nitai in the dream. He's philosophically and grammatically perfect. He's already heard Puranic stories. So another beautiful thing. Mother started telling the stories to the child from literally from the womb. That's another very beautiful incentive to make our children Krishna conscious. So with all this high aristocratic birth, uncles like Rupa and Sanatan, father like Sri Anupam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ramakeli at the age of 3, Nityananda Prabhu, Ishan, Srivas Pandit, and now Shashi Mata. All of this in less than 10 years old. So interestingly, now this is the 4th day that we are discussing. All 4 Goswamis, right from their childhood, have had profuse sadhu sangha, sadhu seva, bhakti impressions. So it's very beautiful and very wonderful that kids must be given that. Now later, after 15, after 16, whether they stay Krishna conscious or they don't, it depends on the karma that they carry from past lives. But to say that, we are going to slacken as parents and then karma will take them and they will become beautiful devotees, doesn't work like that. So we put in our effort when they are young. And then later, if they take it up, it's Krishna's mercy. If they don't, we don't push them too much because every jiva has his own time of blossoming and natural blossoming. If you try to push Krishna consciousness after a certain age, it only repels them away. And it is for sure. We have seen so many such cases. When you try to push too much, you try as a child and then later let them go. And then when time comes, they'll come back. Even if they, leave the path temporarily. Now, Jiva Goswami, after taking shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu told Jiva Goswami, now since you have come to Navdeep Dham, I'll take you for Navdeep Mandal Parikrama. And this is beautifully described in Navdeep Dham Mahatmya of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. The conversations between Jiva Goswami and Nityananda Prabhu. What were the different places that Jiva Goswami was taken to by Nitai? Nitai would take him to the Yoga Peeth. He would take him to different places and tell him, this is what Mahaprabhu did here, this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did here, this is what Advaita Acharya did here. And all the katha of all the associates of Indore Leela, Nitai would tell Jiva Goswami. It's so wonderful. One must read Navdeep Dham Mahatmya of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It's very beautiful. This discussion and this route that they take in Navdeep Dham Parikrama is described. So even today when we go for Gaur Mandal Parikrama, the Adi Guru who started it is Nitai, by personal example. There in those sections it is very beautifully described on the glories of Navdeep Dham. So I'll spend a few minutes on that. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, anyone who sets off from his house thinking that I'm going to go to Navdeep Dham and worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Now whether or not they leave and reach Navadvip is another question. If somebody makes this firm, resolute determination that I am going to go to Navadvip and worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all his karma is burned to ashes. Mahaprabhu describes as a phal, dham yatra phal. Just by keeping this as a manobhishta, even if you don't fulfill it. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says in Navdeep Dham Mahatmya that Lord Shiva has a trident and it has 3 spokes, very sharp ones. And he actually describes what is the purpose of this trident. He says, anyone who doubts whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna, the first spoke is for them. The second sharp spoke, is for someone who believes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna, but doesn't believe that Krishna in the first place is God. So therefore Chaitanya is not God. He may be Radha Krishna, but he's not God. And the third one is for those who doubt that Vrindavan and Navadvip are the same. So if you think they're different, then Lord Shiva has the third gift for us. So 1, 2 and 3, this is why he carries a trident, Bhakti Vinod Thakur describes. And he says, in Kali Yuga, all the dhams lose their potency. The dham remains Chintamani, but people having faith in the dham, the faith comes down and therefore the mercy factor of the dham reduces. The dham remains Chintamani in all times. But the mercy factor comes down. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in Kali Yuga, as the days get progressively degrading, the potency of Navdeep Dham goes exponentially higher. On the last day of Kali, Navdeep Dham will be the most merciful. He describes. Says, therefore, people in Kali Yuga should give up everything and go to Navdeep Dham. He says, Gauranam Gauradham Gaura Rupa Gun Aparada Nahi Mani Tarite Nipun. They don't consider offenses. Gauranam, Gauradham, Gaura Rupa and Gaura Gun, which means the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Leela, Gaur Roop, the deities, and Gaur Dham, Navadvip. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself told Ramanujacharya that my Leelas are the most confidential, and when time is right, they will be revealed by my inner associates, internal associates. There is one story from Navdeep Dham, Mahatmya glorifying Navdeep Dham, which I want to mention here. It is described that in Kailas, Mother Parvati was once sitting and trying to meditate on the Rama mantra. She was chanting Ram Nam, but there was no ecstasy. She was chanting Ram, 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 but no ecstasy. And here was Lord Shiva dancing in ecstasy. Hair all over the place, clothes all over the place. He's jumping and dancing and shouting and crying. Lord Shiva was jumping and dancing and crying in ecstasy, and here Mother Parvati is trying to chant Ram Nam in no ecstasy. Lord Shiva said, oh, no ecstasy with Ram Nam? Okay, I'll give you another name, don't worry. And he initiated her into the Krishna Nam. And now, Lord Shiva was chanting Krishna Nam in ecstasy, and Mother Parvati was chanting Krishna Nam in no ecstasy. 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, and she's just repeating the name of Krishna in no ecstasy. Then Mother Parvati asked Lord Shiva, what mantra is this that you are chanting? You are chanting and you're getting ecstatic, and I'm chanting and there's no ecstasy. What mantra are you chanting? Lord Shiva said, I'm chanting the 4-syllable Gauranga mantra. Mind you, this is a pastime in Satya Yuga. To show that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's names, forms, qualities and pastimes are eternal. Even before he manifests them in Kali, they do exist. In Kali Yuga, he just manifests them. The sun just rises. But even now the sun is there. It's not gone. So in Satya Yuga, this pastime, Lord Shiva says, I'm chanting the Gauranga mantra. And Mother Parvati starts chanting Gauranga, Gauranga, Gauranga. Lord Shiva says, wait. Not like this. You should chant this mantra in Gaurdham for fastest fructification. Panchatattvatmakam Gauram Krishna Chaitanya Ye Bhajante Navadvipe Te Me Priyakhila Mataha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, those who chant my names in my abode, oh, they receive my mercy quick. So Lord Shiva quoted this and said, come on, let's go to Gaurdham. So this is Satya Yuga. And he gets her to Navadvip. Lord Shiva gets Mother Parvati to Navadvip. He says, you should chant Gauranga Nam here. And Mother Parvati starts chanting Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. And it's just 1.5 days. She has the direct darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Satya Yuga, in Navadvip. And she looks at him. And she's shocked. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what are you shocked about? Mother Parvati said, I called out to Ram for such a long time. I called out to Krishna for such a long time. They didn't come. It's just 1.5 days of calling out to you and you have come. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Krishna Nama Kori Aparadira Vichar. That Krishna Nam, the nectar of Krishna Nam is guarded by the 10 offenses. Only when you cross over the 10 offenses can we approach Harinam, Krishna Nam. But if you're committing the 10 offenses and chanting Krishna Nam, Bahu janma kari yadi shravana kirtan tabuta na paye pe Krishna pade premadhan. Our Prabhu chants it very beautifully every morning. So we can chant for millions and millions of lifetimes, but if it is offensive, you will not go anywhere. तार मध्ये सर्वश्रेष्ठ नाम sankirtan, nira aparada nama laile paye premadhan. Only when the chanting is offenseless do we get Krishna. Otherwise, no. So it's very important that we have more discussions on how to avoid the 10 offenses than discussions on how to chant Harinam. Because that is the main the main loot, the main robbery that happens on the highway of bhakti is by offending. And first out of the 10 offenses, offending Vaishnavas. So when the tongue is misused, then what spiritual benefit will we get? Yaha shastra vidhim utsrujya vartate kamakaratah nasasiddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Krishna uses na 3 times in the same line for emphasis. No way, no way, no way. No spiritual perfection, no material perfection, no happiness in this life or the next. Even if you are performing bhakti. So uprooting of the weeds are very important. So Mahaprabhu spoke all this and told Mother Parvati, but my name, aparada nahi mani. Anyone who chants Gauranga Nam, even with material motives, will get me. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, before we chant Harinam, we take shelter of Panchatattva. Like this. Sripad Ayendra Prabhu used to say, whenever he would meet devotees from Mayapur, they would say, you're so fortunate that you're living in Vrindavan. And Sripad Ayendra Prabhu used to say, no, you are so fortunate you're living in Mayapur. They would say, no, but Vrindavan is Madhurya Dham. Ayendra Prabhu would say, but Navadvip is Audarya Dham. And they would say that, but you have Radha Shama Sundar. Say, you have Radha Madhava. And it would go back and forth. And finally it would culminate. Ayendra Prabhu used to, they would say, you have Gaur Nitai. And Ayendra Prabhu used to say, but you have Panchatattva. We don't have Advaita and Srivas and Gadadhar. We have only Gaur Nitai. But you have Panchatattva. And Prabhupada said, take shelter of Panchatattva. So to sit and chant in front of Panchatattva is supreme benefit. And then they would accept. They would have discussions with Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu. Very beautiful, sweet discussions. So Mother Parvati was speaking to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Mother Parvati, so what's your desire? She said, I have a big complaint. Big complaint. What is the complaint? Gauranga said, what is the complaint? She said, I can never associate with you. Gauranga said, no, that's not true. You can associate with me. Who stops you from associating? Mother Parvati said, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is stopping me from associating with you. Achha. Why? Asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mother Parvati said, he has written in Chaitanya Charitamrit, in the eternal Chaitanya Charitamrit, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar. Yaha Krishna Taha Nai Maya Adhikar. He said, you are Krishna and I am Maya. Wherever you exist, I cannot exist. So I cannot associate with you. So Mahaprabhu said, okay, I understand your agony, but at least you can associate with my devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Maya Devi, what if you cannot associate with me, you associate with my devotees? Which means with all of us. One proof that you're not smiling is that she's already giving you her association. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you can associate with my devotees. Maya Devi said, I try my best, but still I fail. You know why? When one merciful devotee comes to give me his association, other devotees come around and they say, Jiva jago, Jiva jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Kotha nidra maya jai, pishachir kole. Till when will you sleep on the lap of the ugly old witch Maya? And the devotee who's mercifully giving me his association gives up my association. Oh Gauranga Mahaprabhu, this is a big problem in my life. You don't give me your association, your devotees don't give me association. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, today is your day. You ask whatever you want, I'll fulfill. She said, I want the dust of your lotus feet on my head. I want your protection. I don't want anything else. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu scraped the foot dust from his lotus feet and marked very beautifully in the partition between her hair. Very wonderful. And the partition between the hair is called Simanta. And because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted her as his eternal consort, by rubbing his foot just in the partition of her hair in the Simanta. That day she was called Simantini Devi. And that land of Navadvip, that island is called Simantadvip. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains all this. In another place he explains, there used to be a Brahmana, again in Satyuga, by the name Vasudev Vipra. And Vasudev Vipra was a devout devotee of Varahadev in Satyuga. He would roll on the ground thinking of Varahadev. It's interesting how people can have different Ishtadevs. His Holiness Sridhar Maharaj from ISKCON Juhu. I remember when I was growing up, I was hardly about 6 years old. And His Holiness Sridhar Maharaj was very attached to Narasimhadev. His room used to be called Narasimha Kutir. And in that room, he had more than 2,000 different pictures and murtis and badge and hat and everything with Narasimhadev, t-shirts with Narasimhadev. And I remember as a child, he held my hand and said, "Today I'll take you to my house, but promise me you will not get scared." I had no clue what he's taking me up for. I was 6 years old. Maharaj took me into this room and I was completely flummoxed. This whole room, he would say, "This is Shanta Narasimha, this is Yoga Narasimha, this is Ugra Narasimha, this is Lakshmi Narasimha, this Narasimha, that Narasimha, just Narasimha." And I was thinking, wow, Maharaj is just one-pointed Narasimhadev. He would worship even Ramachandra, but Ramachandra also as Narasimhadev. Ultimately as Narasimhadev. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas also, when he would read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas, he would explain that he would worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as that form who used his nail marks on the chest of Chandkazi. So that is again Narasimhadev, on breaking the Mridanga. Or how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world by Advaita Acharya worshipping his Narasingha Shila. So they see everything from the basis of their Ishta. Sthavara jangama dekhe na dekhe tara murti, sarvatra hoye nija Ishtadeva spurti. They see everything in connection to their Ishtadeva. Like mothers in this world, they have their child who has gone to school. Chotu sa, bacha, gone to school. They're in school, that child's footwear will be at home. Such small footwear. When the mother sees the footwear, what does she remember? Of whom does she remember? Child. Now what has the footwear to do actually from a philosophical, from a darshanik perspective? What does that footwear have to do with the child? It's not connected, right? The footwear was given to the child at a certain date. The child still existed before the footwear was given. So from a technical perspective, there is no connection. But from an emotional perspective, because of her love for the child, she sees everything with respect to the child. She sees the bed and she remembers the child used to sit here. She sees the t-shirts of the child and remembers while growing up, right? Madhav used to wear this t-shirt. Yes, happens. Mother's heart. So this is the same transcendental mood in the spiritual realm. So Vasudev Vipra, it is described, he was so attached to Varahadev. He would cry and roll, "Varahadev, give me darshan, I want to see." And when you take bath, beautiful Ganges water touches your body, I want that Charanamrit. He had all these aspirations, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains. So Varahadev appeared to him, Satyuga, and said, "Don't worry, in the same tract of land that you're praying to me, I will appear in Kali as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at that time, you will also have a role, and I will reciprocate with you." So that land is called Koladvip, because in Sanskrit, Kola means a transcendental wild boar, Varaha. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, in his Mahaprakash Leela, he took the form of a wild boar as Varahadev. And he picked up the water cup of that devotee who was actually an incarnation of Vasudeva Vipra and Satyuga to reciprocate with his being. So all these wonderful pastimes are described in Navadvip Mahatmya. It describes even how Sri Ramachandra, after getting Mother Sita back, he was sitting and he was deep in meditation. This was in Navadvip. Bhaktivinoda Thakur described. Sri Ramachandra got Mother Sita back and while walking with her, came to Navadvip. And that time he became very contemplative. Mother Sita asked Sri Ram, "What happened?" He with a heavy heart said, "In this pastime we have had meeting and separation. And again meeting. Because I met you by breaking the bow, and then I lost you to Ravana, and again I've got you. But oh Devi, I have to tell you, this is just the beginning. This is going to happen many more times. In my next incarnation as Sri Krishna, when I come, there's going to be Sambhog, and then Vipralamba, and then again Sambhog at Kurukshetra after 100 years. But what is really pinching my heart as a thunderbolt is this land where we are sitting. I am going to appear in Kali, and again I am going to leave you. Being a household Brahmana, I would leave you to take sannyas. I would be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and your name would be Vishnu Priya at that time. I would leave you again, and this land is going to see the separation back again. And at that time, Mother Sita asked Sri Ram, then why is separation necessary? And Sri Ram explains how separation actually nourishes union, and union nourishes separation. So all of these beautiful things are given in Navadvip Dhammatya, where also the parikrama of Jiva and Nityananda Prabhu is described. Now back. That was just a point, just in case if somebody feels inspired, they can read this book before you go to Gauramandal Parikrama. It's very beautiful. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's beautiful book. And interestingly, now these books are being translated by the BBT. Why shouldn't we take advantage? There are devotees working full time. Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu worked so much. His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj is working. And so many other wonderful Vaishnavas. Kushakrata Prabhu gave his life. Right? And so many such beautiful works. Dashrath Sutta Prabhu's works. Amazing. So we should take advantage of these books. Now, during this parikrama, as Jiva Goswami, young Jiva Goswami is listening to all these pastimes, he holds the lotus hands of Nityananda Prabhu and he tells him, after finishing this parikrama, will you take me to Jagannath Puri? Because there you can tell me and show me the places of Antya Leela. I want to go to the Gambhira. And you please tell me the moods of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nitai smiled at Jiva Goswami and he said, you are too young for this. Jiva Goswami said, no, I want to come. And at the same time, please accept me as your personal servant. I just want to travel with you. I want to serve you. I want to give my life for you. Nityananda Prabhu said, no. You have to carry the weight, the responsibility of Rupa and Sanatan's works. And first of all, to make yourself qualified for it, I instruct you to go to Kashi. You have to go to Kashi and learn under Sri Madhusudan Vachaspati. Sri Madhusudan Vachaspati is a senior student and disciple of the great Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was known for his Advaitavad, Vedanta, studying the Mayavad, and he was a great scholar. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met him, and Vedanta kicked the teeth out and gave the Vaishnava perspective, from that time onwards, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya started teaching Vaishnavism. So Madhusudan Vachaspati was trained by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya after his transformation. So he was a Vaishnava scholar. And Jiva Goswami was accepted by him. And looking at Jiva Goswami's scholarly outlook, Madhusudan Vachaspati was very, very excited to teach him. Interestingly, Jiva Goswami completed his education by the time he was 19. At the time of 19, under Madhusudan Vachaspati, he was recognized to be the greatest scholar alive in Kashi. And the youngest greatest scholar. People would come to verify their work to Jiva Goswami, and Jiva Goswami would point different scriptural, philosophical, linguistic, and grammatical faults to fix. And people would come multiple times for proofreading, and Jiva Goswami would, once he approves, only then it could be published or it could be taken ahead. So Jiva Goswami was considered to be a big name in Kashi, and very early at 19. So Madhusudan Vachaspati said, all that I knew I have taught you, now you're all set to go to Vrindavan. So at the age of 20, Jiva Goswami, he set out, he went to Vrindavan. And Bhakti Ratnakar describes what a beautiful warm welcome that he received. Prabodhananda Saraswati, Lokanath Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, everyone welcoming Jiva Goswami because they all could see he's the future. They garlanded him, gave him so many gifts and held his hand and got him in. And Jiva Goswami was falling at their feet and they would pick him up and embrace him. It was very beautiful. Very beautifully it's described in Bhakti Ratnakar. Once Jiva Goswami was accepted, Rupa Goswami took Jiva Goswami around for Brajmandal Parikrama. So he already had Navadvip Dham Parikrama, Gaur Mandal Parikrama under Nityananda Prabhu. And now he had Brajmandal Parikrama with Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. They would tell him all the different pastime places. As they're excavating and they're building different temples and installing different vigrahas, they would say, this deity, this is the history, this is the place where Radha and Krishna performed this pastime. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here, he did this. When he looked at the birds, this is what the birds said. Very beautifully it's described in Prema Vaivarta of Jagadananda Pandit, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he visited Vrindavan, the birds were all looking at him, completely awestruck. And he would look at the birds and say, Krishna, Krishna bolo. Say Krishna, Krishna. And the birds would look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and say, Gaura, Gaura. He would say, no, Krishna, Krishna. They would say, Gaura, Gaura. Krishna, Krishna, Gaura, Gaura. Krishna, Krishna, Gaura, Gaura. Krishna, Krishna, Gaura, Gaura. Gauranga Mahaprabhu would ask them, why are you saying Gaura, Gaura? And the birds would say, because we know Go is Govinda and Ra is Radhika. So Gaura is Radha and Govinda in one anga. Gaura, Govinda and Radharani. Mahaprabhu couldn't say anything. Everyone, because the birds who were in separation from Radha and Krishna now got life back seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Radha and Krishna. So Rupa and Sanatan would take Jiva Goswami around and make him feel comfortable and acclimatized with what's happening in Vrindavan. They would take him to different Mahatmas and Sadhus who were doing bhajan there. Nirjan bhajan. They would say, this sadhu is this personality, that sadhu is this personality. They are from different sampradayas. And at that time, Vrindavan had the greatest fortune of having Sripad Vallabhacharya. He was considered to be the greatest acharya there. Very, very respected. Of course, Jiva Goswami didn't know. He was new to Vrindavan. The followers of Vallabhacharya were very prominent, especially his son Vittalacharya, who was worshipping Srinathji. And so many other scholars were there in Vrindavan. And Rupa Goswami would take Jiva Goswami to all these scholars. Sanatan Goswami later instructed Rupa Goswami that you should initiate Sri Jiva. And his only service should be to serve you, menially. Now imagine at 19, Jiva Goswami has conquered Kashi with his head and with his heart. And now he is given a real humility test by becoming humble, just doing menial service. What was his service? To get water for Rupa Goswami's bathing of Radha Govinda Dev, to clean his ashram, to cook for Rupa Goswami, to do madhukari for Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami would write Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Jiva Goswami would go around doing madhukari. He would cook, he would offer to Radha Govinda Dev, offer it to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami would honor, and then Jiva Goswami would take remnants and distribute. Seeing this very beautiful mood of Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami was very happy. He gave him Diksha because he tested him. Therefore, Jiva Goswami writes this very beautiful point from his personal perspective and personal experience, that the spiritual master must very carefully test the disciple to see how fit he is and then give him Diksha. Because Rupa Goswami personally did that to Jiva Goswami. He tested him. For a year or so, he tested him to see what was the mood of Jiva Goswami. Although he was his own nephew, he was Vallabha's son. He could have just said, don't worry, I'll give you Diksha. But no, he still tested him. And then when he qualified the test, he gave him Diksha and gave him his first scholarly work to work on. Jiva Goswami for the first time got a service with respect to Shastra from Rupa Goswami. What was it? To proofread Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami was writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu at that time. And Jiva Goswami time and again would say, maybe this could be kept like this. This could be stated like this. Oh, Gurudev, is it okay? Rupa Goswami would take his advice. And then later instructed him to write a commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So that's how Jiva Goswami comments on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Seeing this, Rupa Goswami told his Gurudev, Sanatan Goswami, he's really good. Sanatan Goswami at that time was writing the Vaishnava Toshini. And he gave his work to Jiva Goswami and said, now, can you see what can be added here? Now imagine that is his Param Gurudev. And Jiva Goswami was very honest. He would say, maybe Gurudev, this Param Gurudev, this could be written like this could be written like this. And that was taken. And by the blessings and instructions of Sripad Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami wrote his commentary even on Vaishnava Toshini. It's called as Sankshep or Laghu Vaishnava Toshini, the smaller version. Jiva Goswami has given many works, which I'll read out later. More than 25 different books that he has written. Very, very voluminous. Just to give a numerical value of what Jiva Goswami has given this tradition, he has composed more than 550,000 Sanskrit verses. 550,000. That's more than all acharyas in the parampara put together. 550,000. More, much more. And you know what is the sad reality? Many of Jiva Goswami's works we have lost with time. We don't even have an access to what he wrote. There are few books still available, but many of his works are lost. So we don't know the exact number of his verses that he composed. Because he has commented on other texts with personal compositions of verses. Like for example, Jiva Goswami would explain a verse composed by some other acharya, explaining that verse by composing a verse of his own. And it's not easy to compose a Sanskrit verse with proper meter and proper words and proper bhav, everything. So in this way, Jiva Goswami started his work. Tying up to Sripad Vallabhacharya, here is a very exciting story. Rupa Goswami is composing Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And Sripad Vallabhacharya, who at that time was the undoubted leader of Vishwa Vaishnava Sabha, he came to Srila Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami welcomed him, got off his seat, because he knew who he was. But Jiva didn't know. Jiva was fanning Rupa Goswami at that time, on the side. Sripad Vallabhacharya came and he said, I want to see your Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And Rupa Goswami still was writing, so he presented his work. Only copy of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu in the world at that time, unfinished. So he gave it to Sripad Vallabhacharya. Sripad Vallabhacharya was turning and he was reading. And at one point, Rupa Goswami had composed, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavat Pishachi Ridhi Vartate. He said, if the ghost, Pishachi, the wicked ghost of Bhukti and Mukti. Bhukti means material enjoyment and Mukti means liberation. If those ghosts live in the heart, Pishachi Ridhi Vartate, then Tavad Bhakti Sukasyatra Katham Abhi Udayod Bhavet. Then how can one have joy in bhakti if these ghosts are living in the heart? If someone has desire for material enjoyment, how can he selflessly give his heart for Krishna? If someone has desire to be liberated from suffering, how can he selflessly serve Krishna? Amid suffering, he will not be able to. So they are like ghosts which take us away from our service. When Sripad Vallabhacharya read this, he told Rupa Goswami, I don't think this is correct. Mukti is being chased by millions and billions of people. Everyone wants mukti. Is it not? Everyone wants mukti. And you are calling mukti a ghost? This is not, first of all, mukti is glorious. Secondly, even if you want to put a derogatory term, pishachi is not a good term. You can't put equal mukti to pishachi, a ghost. I think you should change it. He gave an equivalent, Vyapnoti Hridayam Yasit, etc. The verse continues. He said, you can compose it like this and write. And Rupa Goswami agreed out of his humility. He said, whatever you say, I will write. I will make changes. Jiva Goswami was fuming. He was fanning Rupa Goswami and looking at this guest and said, how dare he corrects my Guru? Does he not know Rupa Goswami is a scholar? Who is he? Just because he gets off a palanquin doesn't mean, just because he has some fake followers doesn't mean he has the audacity to correct Rupa Goswami. His face was like fuming. Sripad Vallabhacharya had gone to Yamuna Devi because in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya they worship Yamuna Rani. They worship Yamuna Rani. Even now when you go to Vrindavan, near Brahmanda Ghat in Gokul Mahavan, there is a very beautiful temple in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya of Yamuna Rani, and she is bluish like Krishna, holding a garland in her hand. And the Pujari explains very wonderfully, these are waves of Yamuna waiting for Krishna, that she has become Krishnamaya. And she's waiting with the garland in her hand. When will Krishna accept me? So Yamuna is also called Krishna because she's dark complexioned. Like in the Kaliya Daman Leela, we see the first verse of Kaliya also describes that when Krishna saw the dark Yamuna, the dark complexion Krishna jumped into the dark Yamuna to kick the dark serpent Kaliya out. So there also she's called Krishna. Vilokya Dushitam Krishna. So Krishna has many meanings. It also refers to Draupadi and so on and so forth. So he had gone to worship Yamuna Rani, offer Yamuna Arati and take snan. Jiva Goswami was waiting on the banks. He said, let him come. I'm going to speak my heart out. He didn't know this was Sripad Vallabhacharya. So Sripad Vallabhacharya came and said, yes. Jiva Goswami said, what you have done is not correct. You had the audacity to correct my Gurudev. This is not correct. He said, I didn't get you. He said, you came to my Gurudev, Rupa Goswami. Do you remember? I was fanning him. Oh, yes, I remember. So what about it? He said, you corrected my Gurudev saying that Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavat Pishachi Hridi Vartate, and you think he compared Mukti to Pishachi and you said this shouldn't be correct and you gave your perspective and he out of humility accepted it. But I am sorry to say, what you said is wrong. Your correction is incorrect. Sripad Vallabhacharya said, why do you say so? Srila Jiva Goswami said, I agree. Comparing Mukti to Pishachi is wrong. But my Gurudev doesn't compare Mukti to Pishachi. He says, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavat. Spriha means desire. My Gurudev is not comparing Mukti Devi to Pishachi. He's comparing the materialistic desire for Mukti to be a Pishachi. Spriha means desire. Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavat Pishachi Ridi Vartate. The desire to be free from problems, that desire is Pishachi. Mukti Devi is not Pishachi. She's Krishna. Krishna's potency. But the desire to get her, to use Krishna to get her, and not selflessly serve Krishna, that desire is mixed. That is Pishachi. One will never become a pure Vaishnava. When Sripad Vallabhacharya heard this, he said, I want to look at the text again. And he goes back to the text. Because Jiva Goswami had handwritten, because he was writing commentaries. So he had showed. Sripad Vallabhacharya said, I'm really sorry, what you're saying is correct. I read it as Bhakti Mukti. And I was just overwhelmed with this point, how he could compare Mukti to Pishachi. So I'm really sorry, I missed the word Spriha, which means desire. So the desire for Mukti is Pishachi, I agree. You know, in Braj, they say a very beautiful thing as far as Mukti is concerned. Can I share it with you? Yes, ma'am.
So, Mukti is defined as merging of effulgence.
So, well, as far as liberation is concerned, there are 5 prominent kinds of liberation. Sarupya, Samipya, Sarshti, Ekatvam, and so on and so forth. Living in the same planet as the Lord, having the same bodily beauty as the Lord, having the same opulence of the Lord, being close to the Lord, and merging. But this merging, which is also called Mukti, is not Mukti for Vaishnavas. So, having the fortune of staying in the same planet as the Lord or having the same form as the Lord, that is great. But the desire for that being so strong that I will worship Krishna to get it, that is Pishachi. There is no selflessness there. That was Jiva Goswami's point. Can I share something that they say in Braj Bhasha or in Hindi as far as Mukti is concerned?
Yes.
Can I share that? Yes. Okay. मुक्ति कहे गोपाल से मेरी मुक्ति बताए. Mukti Devi is going to Gopal, Shri Krishna, because Krishna is Mukunda, he is giver of liberation. So Mukti Devi is giving mukti to everyone, but everyone is chasing her for it. So she doesn't have liberation from the mukti seekers. Understand? So Mukti kahe Gopal se meri mukti bataye. So how did Krishna give mukti to Mukti Devi? He took his lotus feet and hit on the ground of Brajraj. मुक्ति कहे गोपाल से मेरी मुक्ति बताए, ब्रजरज उड़ी और मस्तक लगे तो मुक्ति मुक्त हो जाए. Did everyone understand? As soon as Krishna hit his lotus feet on the ground of Braj, the dust of Braj came up in the air and touched the forehead of Mukti Devi and she got liberated. To say that living in Vrindavan can give mukti to even mukti personified. Because Braj Dham is not Mukti Dham, it is Bhakti Dham, Prem Dham. Even Prayag Tirtha comes in Braj to get purified. All the great personalities come. The Char Dham is there in Vrindavan. Adi Badri is there in Vrindavan. Triveni Sangam is there in Vrindavan. Ganga is there as Manasi Ganga in Vrindavan. Everything is there in Braj. Sripad Vallabhacharya loved this point. Of course, Jiva Goswami went to Yamuna. He came so close, he took snan, he was pacified, he came back. By then, Sripad Vallabhacharya came to Rupa Goswami and said, I am really sorry, I have to apologize. What you have written is correct, just keep it like that. Your words are perfect, just keep it like that. Rupa Goswami said, but you said it's wrong. Sripad Vallabhacharya said, thank God your disciple came and corrected me. Sri Jiva Goswami came and said, it's not mukti which is pishachi, it is mukti spriha which is pishachi. And if not for Jiva Goswami, I would have never got to know this. So your Jiva is a very wonderful student. Keep teaching him. Now Rupa Goswami got furious. How dare my disciple have the audacity to correct another Vaishnava? What if I just change it? I'm keeping Vaishnava etiquette. Who gave him the permission to go and correct Sripad Vallabhacharya? Srila Rupa Goswami waited for Jiva Goswami to come. So Jiva Goswami took his Yamuna snan and came. Rupa Goswami looked at him and said, what did you tell Sripad Vallabhacharya? Jiva Goswami very honestly spoke the whole story. Left, right, center. And told him, this is my personal instruction to you. Whenever a high-class superior Vaishnava speaks to you, you should never retaliate. And you've done it previously also. Now, why does he say that? Because before this, there is another history. Previously, there used to be a Digvijay Pandit. And he would carry this Vijay Patra with him. He would go and debate with all the scholars and have 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, 12 days, 15 days of debate on Nyaya and Vyakaran and all of these different streams of learning. And he would defeat them and they would sign their defeat on that paper, and he would go with this paper all over to show how many people he has defeated. Yeah. And he would have hundreds and hundreds of names of all the big scholars surrendering to him. So that Digvijay Pandit had come to Vrindavan to Rupa Goswami because people said Rupa Goswami is very exalted. So he came to Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami was busy writing, and he had so many services, excavating Radha Krishna Leela Thalis and installing Vigrahas, writing Vaishnava texts, teaching Vaishnava culture. Where does he have time for this debate? So he told this scholar, I don't know anything. The scholar said, you can't fake humility like that. If you really don't know anything, sign here and tell me that you don't know, and you defeat. Rupa Goswami said, okay, it doesn't matter. Let me just sign it off. He wrote, I, Rupa, surrender to this Digvijay Pandit. And he would take this patra all over and show in Vrindavan, I defeated Rupa Goswami. People said, impossible, but still if you have done it, we must tell you, his Gurudev is still alive. Sripad Sanatana Goswami, go to him. So he went to Sripad Sanatana Goswami, and Sripad Sanatana Goswami was busy chanting Harinam. Amidst chanting Prem Nam, where is the time to debate and argue and all of these things? So when this guy came, this Digvijay Pandit came, he told Sripad Sanatana Goswami that I want to debate you. Sripad Sanatana Goswami said, I am utterly unqualified. I don't even know who I am. I don't know why the three modes of material nature are attacking me. I have so many services to do. How can I defeat you and debate with you? I don't know anything. He said, no, you can't play this game of humility. You got to write and tell me. He said, okay. Sripad Sanatana Goswami just wrote it up. I, Sri Sanatana, surrender. Now his ego was like a hot balloon walking around Vrindavan, ready to be burst very soon by Jiva Goswami. So he was walking around, showing everyone how he had defeated Rupa and Sanatana. People said, you're almost there. The last person now there, before you are proclaimed to be the universal king, is Sri Jiva. Their future, the future of Vaishnavism and their dear nephew. And he's a young child, don't worry. He said, I have defeated his Gurudev, his Param Gurudev. I will defeat him. He went to Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami was busy. He said, I have no time. I surrender. He said, no, you can't play this humility game. Write and surrender. Jiva Goswami went to write, and above he saw Sri Sanatana surrender, Sri Rupa surrenders. He thought to himself, what? Sri Jiva and Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana surrender to him? realized out of their humility, genuine humility, they surrendered. Srila Jiva Goswami thought to himself, if I really am a well-wisher to this soul, I must show him his true position and not what people think of him. And secondly, if he walks around with this paper, to all other scholars, they all will think Rupa and Sanatana have been defeated. But if I defeat him, although I don't want to debate and waste time, that patra is with me. I'll just burn and bury it so no one will know that Rupa and Sanatana were defeated. Just to protect the name of Rupa and Sanatana, he debated with the scholar for 7 days, Sri Jiva Goswami. And with the sword of Praman, evidences, he was cutting through. And this Digvijay Pandit surrendered to Jiva Goswami. And in that patra, the last name was his own name. And it came to Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami tore that paper and destroyed it. And when he came to Rupa Goswami was very annoyed. He said, I don't like you as a disciple. 7 days in Vrindavan you waste arguing with this guy. What if people go around telling about me? There's no problem. But Jiva Goswami didn't speak a word saying, oh Gurudev, I did this for, you're not understanding my side of the story. You think I sat there to debate and puff up my false ego, but I did this only to protect you. He didn't speak a word. Jiva Goswami just hung his head and kept quiet. He thinks so the point Jiva Goswami is teaching us, if my Gurudev thinks this about me, who am I to try to recorrect his thought about me? He knows me better than I know myself. That is why I take Diksha from him. Otherwise, I would have taken Diksha from myself, right? Like there are some people like that. You have Guru and you have disciple, and then it's difficult to identify who's the disciple and who's the Guru. Like they go to Guru and till the time they don't hear what they want to hear, they keep asking the same question. You have so many not so good examples like that. You want to hear a few? I'm not naming, don't worry. Everyone's eager. Wow, a few names, Prabhu? No names, just examples. The first kind of negative disciple is called an arrow disciple. What is he called? Arrow disciple. His Gurudev will tell him, please come. And he comes into the room. He bows down. He gives all the prana mantras, everything. Yes, Gurudev, I'll do anything for you. I'll give up my life for you. Yes, yes. You don't give up your life. You just go and get 1 dozen bananas. Now he will never to return. Like an arrow, you shoot, it goes, but it never comes back. So his Guru will say, you get it. He'll say, yes, Gurudev. And he'll leave. And the Guru is waiting. Is he gone to plant a banana plant or a tree or what? Where is he gone? He never comes back. So this is one kind of arrow disciple that we should not be. Second kind of disciple that we should not be is called a bumblebee disciple or a honeybee disciple. You know what he does? He comes to the room. Gurudev, I am yours. I surrender my life to you. योग्यता विचारे किछु नहीं पाए तुम्हारा करुणा सार करुणा ना होइले कांदिया कांदिया प्राण ना राखिब Gurudev कृपा बिंदु. He'll sing all this. And Gurudev will say, okay. Now you go and get 1 dozen banana, kela. He'll say, yes, Gurudev. He'll leave. Neelamani Prabhu, how are you doing? Long time no see. And then honeybee for some time. Then from one flower finishes. Arjun Saka Prabhu. Some more time. And then from there, Chaitanya Nimai Prabhu. For some time. And then finally, Radharani Mataji. The whole day is gone. The kela never comes back. The disciple is like a honeybee going from one flower to another, just talking and forgets the instruction of Sri Guru. The third kind of not so good disciple is even one notch higher in negativity. He is called an ant disciple. You see ants on the wall? 2 ants come. They always bump against each other when ants walk. So this disciple is like that. He will come into the room and offer all his pranam mantras. Gurudev will say, okay, go and get 1 dozen banana. He'll say, yes, Gurudev. And he'll come out, Arjun Saka Prabhu. please go and get one dozen banana. So he gives it from one ant to another ant. And Arjun Sakha Prabhu will catch another Prabhu. 1 dozen banana, please. And that Prabhu will come, Prabhuji. So from one ant to another it goes and it never comes back. The last kind of guru, the last kind of not so good disciple is a Jyotish Shishya, astrologer. Guru will say, please get 1 dozen banana. Gurudev, what if the shop is closed? He makes the chart. He predicts everything. What if the shop is closed? Gurudev will say, no, don't worry, you go there. But what if that is also closed? What if today is Friday and all shops are closed? No, don't worry, it will be open. So how should I go, Gurudev? You take the cycle. What if there is no air in that wheel? What if there is no shell? No, then don't worry, then you walk. What if I get tired? Gurudev will say, you sit here, I will go and So it's kind of difficult to know who the guru is and who the disciple is. But Jiva Goswami was not like this. When Srila Rupa Goswami told him, you shouldn't have done like this, Srila Jiva Goswami didn't speak a word to justify. This is pranati. This is prapatti. This is sharanagati. Complete surrender. So he kept quiet. So this had already happened in the past. And Rupa Goswami had told Jiva Goswami, you're not going to waste time in Vrindavan. You're not going to correct others. Jiva Goswami said, okay. And now with Sripad Vallabhacharya's incident, this was just too much to take. Srila Rupa Goswami told Srila Jiva Goswami, I don't want to see your face. Get out. Leave Vrindavan. You're not qualified to live in Vrindavan. Get out. I don't want you to serve any Vaishnava. You're very impure, very proud and puffed up. Leave. You should stay all by yourself and you should not even beg and do madhukari. You should have ayachak vritti. Sit in one place and if Krishna sends prasad, you should have. Otherwise, you should not even beg. As Guru, I give you instruction, you should not make any endeavor for food. And if death comes, so be it. This is your punishment. This is your prayashchitta. And Jiva Goswami accepted. So when sometimes reversals happen in our life, we are not even like 0.1% close to Jiva Goswami's scholarship. But still, we make all our endeavor to justify and manipulate and duplicitously change circumstances so that we don't get our reactions from past life. That makes it even more complex. But if we humbly just accept it, make our point of course, but if it doesn't work, just accept it. We get purified of so many past reactions. Jiva Goswami was given this instruction. Rupa Goswami said, never again enter Vrindavan. And I suspend all your services to me. And I reject you as my disciple. Leave. Can you imagine? And his intention was so pure. Jiva Goswami left. He left Vrindavan. He was living in the outskirts. He had ayachak vritti. For years he was just crying to Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, names of Krishna, chanting the holy name as prayashchitta, as atonement. And because of not eating properly, he had become a skeleton. Now Sripad Sanatana Goswami would do long parikramas. We will see this in the next 2 days. Really long parikramas. He lived in Vrindavan, did Madhukari in Mathura, and did Govardhan parikrama, all of this in one day. And he would do the 40 kilometers, 45 kilometers Govardhan parikrama, go to all the different kunds and bathe and then sit there, chant Gayatri and then go from one place, just walking. So when he went to the outskirts, some villagers said, there is one Baba living here. Told Sanatana Goswami, there's one Baba living here. He doesn't eat, he's just crying all day, he's very exalted. You should go and give him your mercy and take darshan. Sripad Sanatana Goswami went and lo and behold, he recognized this was his own Jiva, struggling like this. He asked Srila Jiva Goswami what happened. Jiva Goswami didn't speak a word. What would he say? He said, I'm not qualified to live in Vrindavan, I'm just doing prayashchitta. Sanatana Goswami went back to Rupa Goswami. And the first question he asked him is, how is the work of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu going? Rupa Goswami Pad said, I have to be very honest with you, it's going very slow. If Jiva Goswami was here, it would have been completed by now. but I am all by myself. Sanatana Goswami said, what is the fundamental teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Rupa Goswami said, Krishna Nam. Sanatana Goswami said, what is higher than that? Rupa Goswami said, Jiva Daya. Sanatana Goswami, when he asked this question, Rupa Goswami said, Jiva Daya, which means mercy to all souls. Sanatana Goswami said, Jiva Daya. You're talking about Jiva Daya? Then what about Daya for our Jiva? There's a play of word there, right? Jiva means souls, but Jiva also here means Jiva Goswami. So what about Daya to our Jiva? Rupa Goswami understood. He said, oh Gurudev, if you want me to, I will accept. Sripad Sanatana Goswami said, I have heard from sources that Jiva Goswami did this only to protect our legacy. Rupa Goswami said, yes, but I also wanted him to cultivate humility. And the interesting point here for us to note is humility always comes after humiliation, never comes before that. But the interesting thing is we want humility, but we don't want humiliation. How will it come? Either we humble ourselves or we have Krishna humble us. It's, I think, better that we humble ourselves. And interestingly, life gives us enough kicks to humble ourselves, only if we take it right, in the right perspective. But if we still stand up that I am correct and my perspective is correct and I am always right, then all those tests are going in vain. We are not learning lessons out of it. A devotee gets Shuddhanam Ruchi only with Trinadapi Sunichena and Taroriva Sahishnuna. Otherwise, no. Srila Radhanath Maharaj has a very beautiful class that he spoke glorifying Sripad Haridas Thakur. And there he explains that to get taste in the holy name, Trinadapi Sunishina, Taroriva Sahishnuna, Amanina, Manadena, only then Kirtaniya Sadahari. Respecting everyone, expecting nothing in return, ready to be humiliated, staying tolerant at all times. Only such a person can call out to Krishna sincerely. But if we have anything hidden behind our curtain, how can we call out to Krishna selflessly? Last night, Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj said a very beautiful point that I carry with me. He said, Krishna doesn't see what you keep in front of him. Krishna sees what you have kept behind you. Isn't it wonderful? When we offer something, Krishna doesn't see what we keep in front of him. Krishna sees what we have kept behind us. What intention? What mood? When Maharaj said that, I was like, this is a very brilliant point. Srila Rupa Goswami got Jiva Goswami back. Jiva Goswami started living in Vrindavan. His glory went sky high after that. Everyone spoke about Jiva Goswami. They spoke about his scholarship, but they spoke more about his humility. So much so that Akbar, the great king Akbar, was interested in meeting Jiva Goswami. He walked all the way to Vrindavan. And he said, I want to meet Sri Jiva. Jiva Goswami had a meeting with I was going to say Sripad Akbar. This is what happens in the fourth day of the sixth Goswami ceremony. Even Akbar becomes a Sripad. Sripad Akbar Mahashai. So anyway, not wrong. He's still very glorious because he met Jiva Goswami. Anyone who meets Jiva Goswami is glorious. So he came all the way to take shelter of Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami blessed him and showed him different Leela studies. And Akbar gave a lot of wealth also. He gave land which was used in building temples. Jiva Goswami's glory went and fame spread so much that the great saint Mirabai came to Vrindavan to meet Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami was being assisted by another servant, and Mirabai said, I want to meet Jiva Goswami. And the servant got this news in, and Jiva Goswami said, no, I'm a Purusha and she's a Prakriti, I cannot meet her. According to Shastra, this is not possible. And when Mirabai got this news, she said, oh, I thought Krishna was the only Purusha and we're all Prakriti in Vrindavan. I didn't know apart from Krishna there's another Purusha. As soon as Jiva Goswami heard this, it was a thunderbolt to his heart. He came out and he bowed. And some even say that Mirabai later took Diksha from Jiva Goswami. However, in the academic world of theology and philosophy, there is no evidence found for that. One strong evidence in that line could be that Mirabai's Samadhi is in the 64 Samadhi of Gaudiya Sadhus. In the 64 main Samadhis of Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas, Mirabai's Samadhi is there. So there is some link with Gaudiya Siddhanta.
That's in Vrindavan?
In Vrindavan, yes. 64 Mahanto ki Samadhi, that is how it's called. Also, Jiva Goswami Pad's glory went, he was so popular and so famous that Janava Ma, the eternal consort of Nityananda Prabhu, Bhakti Ratnakara describes that after she celebrated the famous Khetari festival, she came to Vrindavan to meet Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami took Janava Ma to all the wonderful places in Vrindavan, and Janava Ma was ecstatic. Jiva Goswami has contributed in so many ways. We spoke about Raghunath Das Goswami the other day. Raghunath Das Goswami, we said very briefly, I didn't want to say that time because I kept it for this moment to say. We said Raghunath Das Goswami renovated Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, remember? The money that he got from the person who had gone to Badri Vishal, Badrinath, and Badri Vishal told him that you go and give it to Raghunath Das Goswami who was at Radha Kund. Interestingly, that's exactly what happened, but there's another detail here. The money and the land and all the Aishwarya, the paraphernalia needed came to Raghunath Das Goswami. But Raghunath Das Goswami employed Jiva Goswami to do it. He said, I am so busy in my bhajan that I don't know this management. I'm a bhajananandi, so I don't know management. He told Jiva Goswami, management is pretty tough. He said it's not easy. But what can we do? Our Adi Guru in Gaudiya Parampara is Brahmaji, who's into management. In this whole universe. So management does come down as service. Raghunath Das Goswami told Jiva Goswami, you take care of everything. I cannot even take care of myself. What can I take care of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund? Jiva Goswami was the one who actually chalked out the actual Kund, Kankan Kund. And then from there, how many steps have to come? He got the disciple of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raja Man Singh, who built the Govindji temple, to come and build 8 steps on Radha Kund on each sides. All the money, all the laborers giving them money just to make sure everything is proper. So Raghunath Das Goswami definitely gets the credit for overlooking the whole thing, but it was Jiva Goswami who personally scripted it. So not just the books, not just the scholarship, not just the humiliation of from his Gurudev Rupa Goswami, but also assisting Raghunath Das Goswami. Can you imagine? Jiva Goswami is carrying all this on him. Leela Sthali, Shastra Adhyayan, Vigraha Seva, everything on his shoulder. And all the Goswamis are getting older. Jiva Goswami is the only one now to take it ahead. At this point, Rupa Goswami was worshipping Radha Govinda Dev and Jiva Goswami was also assisting him. Radha Govinda Dev appeared in the dream of Rupa Goswami and switched their form to Radha Damodar and said, please look at our form very carefully. Please carve a form just like this and gift the form to Jiva Goswami. We are very eager to taste the loving devotional service of Jiva Goswami. So when the dream broke, Rupa Goswami got up and he personally carved Radha Damodar. So the Radha Damodar that we see in Vrindavan now, today, yes, is what Rupa Goswami personally carved. You know something very interesting about Radha Damodar there? When Aurangzeb attacked, all the deities left, we described, to Jaipur and to Karoli and all of these places. Radha Raman didn't leave. He was in Vrindavan. Radha Damodar left. And when Vrindavan became favorable, he came back. So this is the actual deity. The deity in Jaipur is Pratibhamurti. The actual one is in Vrindavan. This is the original one. And of course on that altar you will find Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's Radha Vrindavan Chandra, and you will find Jaidev Goswami Pad's Radha Madhav deities. Bhugarbha Goswami's Radha child deities, 4 big deities when you go to Radha Damodar Dev. And it's a very wonderful place. Srila Prabhupada lived there for so many years. So many wonderful samadhis of great Vaishnava acharyas. So Rupa Goswami gave this deity of Radha Damodar Dev to Jiva Goswami and also gave the pranam mantra. Rupa Goswami composed the pranam mantra of Radha Damodar Dev and gave it to Jiva Goswami to worship. So can we all repeat that, please? Everyone ready?
Yes.
Anga Shyamalima Chatavirabito. Okay, let's go. I'm sorry. Anga Shyamalima Chhatabir Abhito Mandi Kritendivaram Jadyam Jaguda Rochisham Vidadatam Pattambarasya Shriya Vrindaranya Vilasinim Ridilasat Damabhiramodaram Radha Skanda Niveshitojjvala Bhujam Dhyaye Madamodaram. This is pranam mantra for Damodar. So next Damodar Mass every day. Composed by Srila Rupa Goswami to Jiva Goswami. So he gave Radha Damodar Dev and this pranam. And Jiva Goswami would worship, and Bhakti Ratnakar describes when he would worship Radha Damodar Dev, Radha Damodar would sometimes tell him, now you keep the agrabati down, or you keep the ghee lamp down, we are very hungry. Give us something to eat. Go. Jiva Goswami would say, what do you want to eat today? And they would say, you cook like this and you give this. We are very hungry. And Jiva Goswami would go inside to cook, and Radha Damodar would play the flute asking, is it done? Jiva Goswami would come ecstatically dancing in the flute, and Damodar would say, no, go get the preparation. I'll play flute for you later. Go. And Jiva Goswami would come and feed, and Radha Damodar would open his mouth, the same deity in Vrindavan. This is Jiva Goswami. Super excellent intellect and super excellent devotional service. At this point, I want to read the list of works that Jiva Goswami has written. It's impossible to finish this class without that. So please bear with me. Harinamamrita Vyakaran is a work by Jiva Goswami, where he has explained all the rules of grammar with the names of Krishna. Like for example, Mool Dhatu. Mool Dhatu means the root, verb root. He explains there, Mool means root of everything. And, sorry? Said something? No. Okay. Mool means root and Dhatu means verb. And Jiva Goswami explains, verb means to act. And root, Mool means root. So Krishna's name is Mool Dhatu because he is the root to whom all our activities must be offered. Like that, everything, every rule in Sanskrit is linked back to Krishna now. So it's called Hari Nam Amrita Vyakarana. We know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he went to Gaya and took Diksha, he came back, he was a changed personality altogether. He would teach his students only Krishna, 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 Krishna all day, and they would say, what are you teaching? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, Krishna is like this, Krishna is like that. And he would explain different rules of grammar and again say Krishna, Hari Nam, Ram Nam, Krishna Nam. So he would explain all the rules of grammar with the names of Krishna. So this is the elaboration on that. Now please keep hearing the list that Jiva Goswami has written. Sutra Mallika, Dhatu Sangraha, Krishna Archa Deepika, Gopala Viruddhavali, Sarva Samvadmi, Sankhep or Laghu Vaishnava Toshani, Madhava Mahotsava, Sankalpa Kalpa Vriksha, Bhavartha Champu, Rasamrita Shesha, Padma Puranokta, Shri Krishna Padachinha, Shri Radhika Kara Padachinha, Gopala Champu, commentaries on Brahma Samhita, commentaries on Gopal Tapani Upanishad, commentaries on Agni Puran, commentaries on Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, commentaries on Yoga Saraswata, commentaries on Ujjvala Nilamani, commentaries on Shatsandarbhas and elaborations and compilations of course, commentaries on the Gayatri mantra as Gayatri Vivritti, and so forth. And not to forget his, of course, commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. He's commented on everything possible. And unfortunately, we have a few of these works, and many of them we have lost with time. So now, here is the final concluding section of the class. How does it all get together as to the life that we are leading today? Now, this is a very beautiful section. At this point that Jiva Goswami is in, writing, reading, proofreading, editing, renovating Leela Sthalis, worshipping Radha Damodar Dev, Prabodhananda Saraswati has departed. Sanatan Goswami has departed. Rupa Goswami has departed. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami has departed. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is very old. Another biography describes with proof that Prabodhananda Saraswati had departed, Rupa and Sanatan had departed, but Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami and Lokanath Goswami were all very old and about to leave. Like that. Because it is described that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was there when Jiva Goswami was writing his will. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has lived long. So now all these Vaishnavas were getting old. For them the only hope is Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami has written it all, but now Jiva Goswami has an anxiety. I have given 70 years of my life. What is going to happen in the future? Right? How is this going to be preserved and nourished and taken ahead? So that's when yesterday we said how Srinivas Acharya, Gopinath Sharma and Damodar Sharma were initiated. You remember? By Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Do you remember? And then Srinivas Acharya, disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, disciple of Lokanath Goswami, and Shyamananda Prabhu, disciple of Hriday Chaitanya, were all sent to Jiva Goswami. Now here is the concluding nectar to wrap up. Please hear this narration very beautifully, very carefully. All these three personalities are with Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami is training them, and along with all the Vaishnavas, he has given all the works written till now, till date, works of Jiva Goswami, works of Rupa Goswami, works of Raghunath Das Goswami, works of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, all these works are given to these three personalities. Now what they do with it is going to make or break the future. Clear? Srila Jiva Goswami arranged for two carts, two bullock carts. On one bullock cart, he put all the works. In another bullock cart, he put Narottam, Shyamananda and Srinivas. And he said, now take all these works, make multiple hand copies of them and start preaching about them, speaking about them, giving it out to everyone. This message of Gaudiya Siddhanta must spread. This is the only hope we have. And they're sending them to Gauradesh from Vrindavan. So they agree. But it's very heartbreaking for them to leave Vrindavan and all this league of acharyas who have got old, giving them the nectar that they have collected all their life. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami have all gone old and some have departed also. With the hope that this will spread. No printing press at that time. You can just send a, scan and send a soft copy, email it to everyone and blast. That's easy. At that time, nothing of that sort. You have to personally hand copy it. Write every single thing that they have written till now. You have to write it multiple times and then give it out. And speak about it and make people understand and clarify their doubts. And then spread the word. So they left. They embraced all the Vaishnavas with tears. And they said, please bless us and empower us. We don't know what we are going to do. These three personalities, Shyamananda, Narottam and Srinivas, they left. They left Vrindavan. They went to Agra. They went through a place called Etaha, crossed over and came finally to a place called Vishnupur. Now Vishnupur was being ruled by a king called Virhamvir. Now King Virhamvir was unique in the sense that during the daytime he would read the Puranas and hear stories from the Shastra, and night time he would rob. I thought by the time things settle, let me drink some more. Very interesting person. Vaishnavira Kriya Mudra Vigya na bujai. No one can understand why. And he had an astrologer group in his palace who would predict where the richest party is walking, in which street, and he would send 200 men to attack him. But his policy was, because he was reading Shastra, he would not kill anyone. You steal with your hard work. Even Krishna did this, right? Chauragraganyam purusham namami. So following that. Taken out of context, of course. Like, in the outside world, when you speak about Bhagavad Gita, they tell you things which are never found in the Gita. It's fascinating. I asked one man, so this was December marathon time, like now, said Bhagavad Gita, said, I know everything about it. When you find someone who says that, you know you have caught the right person. You have exactly caught the right person. He says, I know everything. He said, Ab nahi choduga isko. So I said, okay, what does Krishna say in the Gita? First thing, which everyone knows. Even people in the extra, like the aliens also know this. Karm karte jao, phal ki chinta mat karo. Now what Krishna intended before or after, what is the flow, what are the commentators saying, it doesn't matter. You do whatever you want, you don't expect the result. That's all. That's the only import people mind. So much so that they make different dramas where someone is a thief and he's caught by the police. He said, you know that you will be caught by us. Why are you stealing? Karm karte jao, phal ki chinta mat karo. You just do your duty, don't expect results. Acha, I said, okay. What else does Krishna say in the Gita? He says, then Krishna says a very interesting thing. I was like, yeah, I'm equally interested to know what he's saying. तू वो कर जो मैं चाहता हूँ, फिर वो होगा जो तू चाहता है. अपने आप को एक बार मुझे देखकर तो देख मैं क्या करता हूँ तेरे जीवन के साथ. I was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, very Shastric point. I just, where is it exactly? He said, Gita. It's in the Gita, you've not read? First, I think you should read Gita before you distribute it. So, I'm trying to read that section. I'm in the 19th chapter at the moment. I still haven't found what he was saying. So anyway, point made. The point that we are making is, coming back to our trio. For them, it was very difficult. It was not as easy as today. Someone who walks into the temple, you just give them a beads, and then you give them beads, give them a book. It's easy. We have so many printing presses, and it's soft copy, in Kindle version, and it's so simple. But at that time, it was very difficult. Everything needed multiple copies, hand copies, and giving it personally. So you have to write it all and give it to him. And then next time you have to write it down. And it's all natural. Find the right herbs and squeeze them, make the dye, get the bark from the tree, make paper, and then find the proper pen and then start writing it. Someone who understands it properly, who writes the syllables, he just shouldn't make a mistake in the syllables. And if he makes a syllable, then the mood is gone. Very difficult. So they embraced the Vaishnavas. They said, we cannot, they were holding each other's hands, Shaman and the Narottam and Srila said, we don't know what we got to do. We have to protect. This is actually the wealth of Vrindavan that we are carrying. And when they entered Vishnupur, Virhamvir, he was asking his astrologers, now you tell me where the biggest, wealthiest cart is moving. He said, this cross section, this char rasta, this junction, this is where they are. So they went there. And Narottam, Shamananda and Srinivas were resting with their cart. And interestingly, they had 10 armed men to protect. Jiva Goswami had arranged even that. Just in case of attack or animals, you have something. Attack. You have some weapons. So they were also guarding, but Veer had sent 200 soldiers. Now they were outnumbered. So they tied Narottam, Shamananda and Srinivas to the trees and they took all this wealth. Because they followed some culture. They didn't want to steal when they were sleeping. So they woke them up and said, we are stealing. Tied them up. Because Veer used to follow Shastra also. So all the wealth was taken. The box full of books was gone. Can you imagine Narottam, Shamananda and Srinivas? What they underwent at that point? They had lost Jiva Goswamis, Rup Goswamis, Sanatan Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswamis, Prabodhanand Saraswatis, everybody's works. And no other copy. They lived all their life to do this. Narottam, Shamananda and Srinivas promised each other to kill themselves. Said, no more, we are not going to survive. But before that, we will send a letter to Jiva Goswami saying what has happened. We don't want to die without being honest. And in that letter, they told Jiva Goswami, we are thinking of committing suicide. Jiva Goswami writes back, no, you must be alive. I can clearly see there is a hand of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this. So, time will unfold. But when he told this in the Vaishnava community in Vrindavan, everybody was heartbroken. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami jumped into Radhakund to drown himself. And Vaishnava devotees jumped and got him out. Some scholarly biographers write that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami left his body in Radhakund by jumping, but that's not true because he's there in 1608 when Jiva Goswami writes his will. So Kaviraj Goswami was there during the end of Jiva Goswami. So that is not so true. So he was got out of Radhakund. And everybody is mourning. What has happened? In our old age, we lived all our life to give this. What has happened? Jiva Goswami kept everybody together emotionally. Said, don't worry, something is good to come. Narottam, Shamananda and Srinivas, can you imagine? They are devastated. They have lost everything. They have lost the parampara. Srinivas Acharya told Narottam Das Thakur and Shamananda Prabhu, don't worry, you remember, right? You remember the philosophy? You start preaching at least. Go to different places and start preaching. They said, we cannot leave you alone like this here. What are you going to do? Srinivas Acharya said, I will search for the books. You go. Don't waste time here. Both of you part and start preaching. Get some result at least. So they bowed down and taking the instruction of Srinivas Acharya, Narottam and Shamananda Prabhu left. Now Srinivas Acharya started searching, walking, but no hint. Finally he entered a village where he found a Brahmana by the name Krishna Vallabha. And he asked this Brahmana, the Brahmana asked Srinivas Acharya, what are you searching? You seem very lost. You look like a cow who has lost his calf. And Srinivas Acharya poured his heart out. Krishna Vallabha embraced him and said, don't worry. Bhagavatam solves all problems. There is a king here called King Veer, in whose kingdom there is Bhagavat part which goes on every evening. So please come, just here you will feel better. Come, Krishna has some plan. So he went there without knowing what the connection was. So he went there for the Bhagavat reading, Bhagavat part. And there while reading, the person who was kept by King Veer, he was reading. And this was the Rasa Panchadhyaya which was going on. The Rasa Leela was being described. And there, while speaking, he made a mistake. He said something which was wrong. Srinivas Acharya roared. He put his hand up and he said, no, this is Apasampradaya. This is Apasiddhanta. This is not correct. This is how it is. And he actually explained on the basis of Jiva Goswami's works. Because he had remembered what Jiva Goswami taught him. Veer was so impressed. He said, who are you? Where do you come from? And from tomorrow, you should replace him and you should speak Bhagavatam. So Srinivas Acharya every evening would speak Srimad Bhagavatam. And King Veer was very happy. And then one day Srinivas Acharya spoke his heart out. He said, oh king, can you help me find this box of books? I have lost them. King Veer started he started mentally mapping what had happened to what is happening. He said, wait a minute, come. He showed him in the go-down this box of jewels, books. He said, is this the one? Srinivas Acharya said, yes! Life came back to his body. He said, yes, this is the one. We had lost it. Oh, king, how did you get it? King Veer surrendered to Srinivas Acharya, became his disciple, and instructed his whole kingdom to take Diksha from Srinivasa Acharya. And not just that, instructed his whole kingdom to help Srinivasa Acharya in hand copying the literature and distributing it. This letter came back to Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami said, I told you Mahaprabhu has a plan. So he temporarily took it only to create more men to help. Jiva Goswami, when he got this letter back, he read it to the Vaishnava community. And they said, now we can leave our bodies. We are comfortable now. Because now we have enough men to take care of this. Jiva Goswami writes all these books in his will, where they must go and what must happen, etc. Jiva Goswami initiates a disciple by the name Krishnadas Adhikari. And his sampradaya coming down are the priests who take care of Radha Damodar today. At the end of all of this, in 1608, the year that Jiva Goswami writes his will, he enters the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. It's Vilasa Manjari. How wonderfully Jiva Goswami, as a captain on the ship, took this Gaudiya Parampara ahead. It came down generations. Isn't it wonderful? Narottam Shamananda Srinivas coming down to Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who's chanting and singing the Adbhut Mandir. He predicts how it was Bhakti Vinod Thakur who sent the precepts, the life and precepts of Lord Chaitanya to Canada. In 1896, the year Srila Prabhupada appeared in the Canada Library. And he had predicted that in the future in this land, people from different countries will come and chant and dance, chanting the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur lived his life to fulfill this. Do we see? It comes from one self-realized Acharya to another self-realized Acharya. So beautifully empowered. Mahaprabhu has scripted everything properly. So wonderful. Just like Krishna told Arjuna that you just drop the bodies, I am actually going to kill them. They're already killed, you don't worry. They've all entered my mouth. You just do your service of dropping the bodies down. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Prithivite achajate nagaradi gram sarvatra prachara hoibe mora naam. That every town and village will chant and dance, chanting my names. Now this is going to happen. Whether we do it or no, it's going to happen. But if we do it, we become the recipient of His mercy of participating in His will. It is going to happen. Mahaprabhu doesn't need our help. If not for me, it's going to be you. If not for you, it's going to be him. If not for all of us, it's going to be somebody else. But if we participate, we get a role in fulfilling Mahaprabhu's mission. And how wonderfully this nectar of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami is coming down through Narottam Shamananda Srinivas. And not to forget Shripad Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Vidyabhushan. Oh wow, hair stands on end. How they have been got together by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhakti Vinod Thakur coming at a time when Apa Sampradaya, Apa Siddhantas were rising. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's and 6 Goswamis, their work was at stake. Sakhi Beki and Gauranga Nagari and Jati Gosai and Dharavesh and all of these Apa Sampradayas rising. Bhakti Vinod Thakur comes and cuts them through the help of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur envisioned this to spread. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did it in India. And when he meets our Srila Prabhupada, he says, you do it ahead. And when Srila Prabhupada was asked this question in that famous video that we find, disciples asked Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Vinod Thakur could have done it himself. Why did he keep it like this? Prabhupada said, to give me credit. To leave that service for me. So it's amazing that Srila Prabhupada took shelter of Rupa and Sanatan at Radha Damodar with Jiva Goswami as the center to carry this current. Being in ISKCON is not just something to be taken for granted. We have been offered the privilege to be in the line of the 6 Goswamis. When we realize this, then study Prabhupada's books, who translated all this work word by word in English so that we understand. Because we don't understand Bengali and Sanskrit. Even if it comes down to us, the works of Harinama Amrita Vyakaran, what can we, what can we understand? We can chant Harinam maybe, but we can't understand the Vyakaran there. But when Prabhupada comes and translates and quotes Jiva Goswami in his purports, we have it. So to actually read Prabhupada's books and follow it is following the 6 Goswamis. Now is an important point, the concluding point. Okay, Prabhupada did it all. If we don't read these books, the works of 6 Goswamis stop here. Do you see this?
Yeah.
If we don't read these books, the work of the 6 Goswamis that they toiled for, Rupa and Sanatana and Jiva Goswami gave their lives. Prabhupada had multiple heart attacks. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was celibate. Bhakti Vinod Thakur worked so hard. That dhara is stopped here. What we will be giving the next generation will only be blank fires of our own mental conception. It is not going to be as it is given by Rupa and Sanatana. Only if we read Prabhupada's books so much so that his words become our vocabulary, then what we speak will be the current of Rupa and Sanatana. So it's not about just saying in every class, read Prabhupada's books. We have to understand what it actually means. If we don't take shelter of these books, now literally we have been offered the same service that Narottam, Shamananda and Srinivas have been offered. Same service. There is no difference. To study those books, understand those books and distribute them. The service that Shamananda, Narottam and Srinivas got, we have got the same. It's just that they had it from Jiva Goswami, we have it from Jiva Goswami through Prabhupada. So to study them, to understand them, to give it to others is the best service we can do to ourselves and to our parampara. But if we don't do it, we just speak things of our own mind. And then next generation, what will they carry? They will have mathe tilak, kanthi mala, ache piche sundar bala. They will have kanti and tilak in their forehead and they will have, women behind them. This is not the parampara that we want to give as followers of Prabhupada and Rupa and Sanatana. We want them to have the same fortune as we have and we have the same fortune as they have. They preserved it till now. They gave their lives to preserve it for us. Now we have to give our life to preserve it for the next generation. Only then we are in parampara. Otherwise we are not. So saying this, we bow down to Srila Prabhupada for maintaining and giving Jiva Goswami to us. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. This was day 4, conclusion of day 4. We have 2 more days and on purpose we have kept it for Rupa and Sanatana. Tomorrow and day after and then we will be done with this.